I think I default to email, but I've sort of got an unwritten rule that if we don't get it resolved within about 3 emails, it's time to pick up the phone and talk about it. Yeah. And I guess that really speaks to the point, is that direct communication is really the best way at the end of the day. There's a lot less misunderstandings. I think email creates a lot of misunderstandings, especially if you've got an email string of 17 and you miss one somehow.
A sentence of advice that you would give emerging executives in the industry, what would you tell them to look out for? Tim?
That's a weighty one. You can go in several directions on it. I've always believed in doing the right thing for the right reason. That pretty simple, but it covers a lot of ground.
I kind of go along with Tim's point. Do the right thing for the right reason. You have to make sure that what you're doing is something that you believe in. And the way that I look at it is, if you're doing something and you have this feeling in your stomach, I really go with the feeling in my stomach. If something doesn't feel right, it's usually not right. I would definitely think about it before making that kind of decision, and think of it in the way, what would happen if it went into a way where somebody would, I don't know, like find out if it was the wrong decision or it was something that wasn't ethical. Yeah, I think I'd bring it back to ethics, something simple in that kind of regard.
One of the challenges always is communication. We are communicating across various layers. The airport executive of the past, many times, as I've said earlier, was connected with military or public service. And now as we look at this panel, they come from various areas that are needed, because you have a much more diverse group of flyers. You know, air flight used to be very elegant or a place for a few. Now, more and more, as the community and the world connects, are flying. So what would you suggest that airports need to do to make this vision, even though we're not responsible, to make the ability to fly and have a good experience easier? What would you suggest we do? Milton, I'll start with you.
So to make it easier for your customers, you want to be in their shoes. I mean, I think all of us, when sometimes when we do decisions, we don't see it from the perspective of the other person. It's very important seeing it in a way where, okay, I said this, how did this affect you as a person? If we put ourselves in the shoes of our customers and actually go from the point A to point Z of checking in, getting to the destination that they're trying to get to, I think that we'd understand it from their viewpoint, the frustrations that they're going through, and I think better simplify the processes where sometimes we think it's already simplified, but maybe there is sections and parts of that process that we can make better. I would say, yeah, put yourself in the shoes of your customer. I think that's very important.
To springboard off of some of these other ideas, it was actually the topic at our table this morning for breakfast. We were talking about our experience last night at the park, and how the general feeling was is that we could learn something from how the parks take your mind off the wait in line, and they keep you busy with things going on around you to ease some of the stress of travel. We all travel, we're in the industry, we know the industry, it's still stressful for us. It's twice as stressful for the person that doesn't know what's going on. And to have TSA marching up and down the line with bullhorns barking orders at you probably does nothing for their peace of mind. So I think embracing technology, learning about how the environment influences how you feel, and integrating that into the lines. I don't see the lines as going away. Might be beneficial. Could be as simple as a clown blowing up balloons. If you're okay with clowns. Yeah.
Well, you've certainly spoken to the transformative method of airports, but the key that we're discussing is employment. All kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of needs the airport has, appealing to a customer that the airport receives no funding from. Yet now the community expects you to brand, to attract businesses to come in, your stakeholders and your partners expect you to give them the best deal, yet receive no tax dollars. So we need a diverse group of employees. So what does it take? What should be provided, particularly the emerging leaders? What should be provided to make you want to stay in the airport or work in the airport? What's needed? Milton?
I think as a person that you want your employer to look at you as a person. You want to feel like you belong. And I think one of these things in terms of employee retention is to give sincere appreciation for the people that are under you. As a leader, if you give that appreciation, it is something so powerful that a lot of people don't experience that kind of appreciation, and when they do, it's like, wait a minute. It's almost coming from a situation where you grew up with two parents that didn't love you, and then you go into a situation where you go and these other people love you, and you're like, wait a minute, what is this love? This feels weird, you know? So I think sincere appreciation can go very far, and it's very understated. So that's what I think.
Batting cleanup on the question, I've got to agree with everything that I've heard. I would say an internal program to teach people as they're coming up the role and importance of other departments within the organization. It also creates networking within an authority, a large place, so that you have somebody on the other side that you can pick up the phone and talk to easily and get the problems resolved. Without them having to go all the way up to the leader of the department, you know, it empowers people at a lower level to take care of the issues before they become big issues.
One of the things that always, while we've talked about what is not happening, what is the excitement about working in the airport?
So what I like about working in the aviation industry, to be honest, I really feel like we're a big extended family. When I come to these conferences, I'm always seeing, catching up with all my people, you know, from various airports, various firms, and I've always felt ever since I first got my scholarship through FAC, it's always felt like a tight-knit family. I feel like I belong, and I think it's very instrumental in the aviation industry where, especially in Florida, that you feel like you belong. You feel like it's a strong community where you can go ahead and if you have any questions, you can come to a conference and you can ask those questions. And a lot of the time, people are going to have the same experiences that you probably had, and you can kind of grow on top of what they did and learn from them. I think that's something beautiful about the aviation industry. It's big, but it's small in its own regard.
You know, I guess I'm still that 8-year-old kid that hung on the airport fence. I think the fascination of flight, and I guarantee you the majority of people in this room, 747 lines up for takeoff, you kind of stop what you're doing and watch. P-51, everybody stops and watches. Military jet, you name it. Yeah. That's the magic, that's the role, and to be a part of that just gives me goose skin.
And that's a big part of it. So it is obvious that we move to the people that make the industry happen. And to have you here, I would ask if you were going to tell someone to join the industry, what advice would you give them that they need? What is it they need to be in this industry? And I'll start with you, Tim.
I think the cardinal rule that I try to follow and pass along is to know yourself. That's really how you're going to be successful, in my opinion. Are you a big fish in a small pond? Small fish in a big pond. Do you like to be a specialist or generalist? And if you know those answers, that'll help guide your steps. A lot of us start in operations in this industry simply because that's where the excitement is, that's where the job openings are. But as you progress, and operations is almost always at a fairly large airport, you may actually find yourself working down to smaller airports, which is kind of what I did. I started at Kennedy. You could see more at Kennedy Airport in 8 hours than you will at many other airports in in a year, maybe 2 years. But as I progressed, I actually was exposed more to general aviation and found out that that was where I excelled. That's what I was good at. I have a passion for aviation in general. I was good at general aviation. I like being a generalist. I liked a day where you weren't just focused on a single topic, a single specialty all day long. You changed that hat and you moved on from tenant issues to operational issues to whatever. And sometimes you're still the guy that gets called out there to remove the armadillo from the bacon. So you don't forget your roots.
I think what I would touch on is growing your network. I think that's something very important that we can all kind of take in, and where I would tell anybody the same thing. Growing your network is something so important. The more people you know, the more experiences you hear about. I am a people person, so I love people. So I always harp on growing your network. I love knowing as many people as I can. I love hearing about people's stories, and those stories further you as a person, further me as a person, and further all of us, and where it helps us develop as the best person that we want to be at the end of the day. So yeah, developing relationships.
When we want to look further at this industry, what is the one thing that you think the industry needs in terms of employment, in terms of career advancement? What does the industry need to do?
Surround yourself with smart people. That's a sure way to forward everybody's progress. And I think a little cross-pollination in the industry is good. That's the term I use. Airports for so many years were sort of a closed society. You were pilots, previous pilots, military personnel, whatever, but you were all aviation personnel, and you were a little bit inbred. Carolyn and I go back a long ways, and I can remember when she joined the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, they had made a smart move in hiring a public relations person, but they really didn't know what she was going to do. That was pretty new 40 years ago when she started. And airports since then have started to hire people from the airlines, gave them a better understanding of the airline side of the equation. They started to hire consultants, outside engineers and planners, which again brought another point of view that they've molded into airport management now. And I think the airports that have done that, that have embraced that, have certainly done better.
I think that, you know, hearing him speak about having a set path, right? Of knowing where you're going to go. We all want to know where we're going to go. We don't want to be in a situation where we're sitting down, we're working, and we have no idea where we're going to be 3, 4, 5 years down the line. And I think that's something instrumental to, I think, also keeping talent. I mean, that's something big. And if you as a leader can get them eager to do what they want to do, get them passionate about doing what they're working on, and them knowing what they're working on makes a change to people and to other people's lives, I think that's something amazing.
Well, in this discussion, I think the success in any industry, we can tie it to person. There has to be vision, and you've heard some of the vision today. There has to be architecture, and we look at airports, those that are in planning and engineering. You watch them moving towards creating a building that addresses the needs of people and not just the wingspan of aircraft.
What advice would you have given yourself 10, 15 years ago that you should have listened to? Continue
to learn, no matter how old you get, no matter how much experience you have in the industry. Embrace the new. Continue to learn, talk to some of the emerging leaders who've got some new ideas and might be looking at things just a little bit differently than you traditionally would. And that may be the way to go.
I would say, instead of pointing at the rock, pick up the rock, be the person that says, hey, let's all go pick up this rock together. lead by example.
Yeah.
I think lead by example is something very powerful. People perceive your actions very meticulously, and where they say, he's telling me to move this boulder, but he's not doing it himself. Has he ever done it? We want someone as a leader that is there with us, next to us, but thus gives us a direction of where we need to go.